While many of my esteemed colleagues have written vast tomes on the history of the galaxy, I have always tried to organize the majority of my guide to reflect the era that most of you are familiar with, and most assuredly influences everything around us in the here and now. The last 3 centuries are but a blip in the passage of time, but nowhere in our previous history has so short a period had made more of an effect on so many. Dr. Eleanor sighed. As of 2274, the known galaxy encompasses hundreds of worlds, the majority of which fall under the auspices of 7 major galactic states and the 5 known races that control them. Many other independent worlds and small trading defense collectives exist as well, scattered throughout the heavens. All right, we're playing CAV Strike Operations. CAV Strike Operations.
This is our first time we're doing a battle record, so we got a few technical difficulties. We are also in the process of putting together our board, our battle board, and everything like that. So right now, what we have is a bed sheet over the top of it, and we have some small amount of terrain, and we have some stuff underneath the sheet to make a little bit of a hill. Obviously, it doesn't look quite right yet, but we're getting there.
Yeah, the whole room is actually still being set up, the lighting and all that. So, so in CAV, you're in control of giant mechs and units of soldiers, and you just kind of fight for, like any other miniature war game, really.
And what happens is you select who goes next by drawing a card. If it has the appropriate suit, then the other person goes. Now, right now, I just moved my Dictator B, which is one of the mechs, and I want to see if I can line up the shot. It looks like he's just out of close distance. He's at medium range, so I don't have quite the bonus. But I will actually probably make the shot. I did make it there. What happened is we had a bad dice tray, so the first couple rolls on the dice we didn't actually.
The rolls were actually off camera.
Yeah.
But he landed a hit on my Imperator, I believe.
Yeah, that was the Imperator. And right now we both have similar armies. What we're doing is we're doing a game where we are both 2 different mercenary outfits. We're competing over jobs, and this is like a competition to try to get this one upcoming job. That's going to be our narrative that we're going to do with this game. And here I go again because I drew red. And I'm going to move my Imperator this time. I'm hoping to get him in range to lay some heavy damage, because the Imperator is a little more powerful than the Dictator B, but he doesn't have as many different weapon systems. He only has the MAC cannons.
Yeah, and we got a few things wrong in the first couple of moves, but we kind of learned the game as we go. This is actually the first time we played CAV Strike Operations.
Yeah, so it's a learning experience on multiple different levels. We didn't really, we went into this knowing we weren't going to be perfect, but we wanted to get a good game going. We do normally play other war games. We're a little bit better at Warhammer 40k and stuff like that, and we probably will do more of those later as well. But we really wanted to get this game going. Now this is round 2.
Yeah, we just finished the first turn, because every unit gets to be activated once, and normally you have a squad of CAVs and a squad of infantry, but the more models you have, you activate the whole squad whenever you get a chance to go. But in the smaller matches like this, each card that you draw for your side, you activate 1 model.
Yeah.
So.
And when at the end of the round, you shuffle up all the cards and you start over again, so you don't know who's going to go next. So here I'm going to move my Dictator B up just a little. Well, I've had a hard time deciding, actually, because right there, I was thinking maybe I could jump up, but I didn't have enough movement. So it was quite a dilemma for me, because I was like, if I move him forward a little bit, I might get too close to him when he moves. But if I don't move him up, then I might not get a good shot eventually. So I decided to go ahead and take the shot and just risk it, and I missed.
Basically, it just to touch on how the rules work. You have a short distance range, and then medium and long and extreme distance ranges, and each step in distance, it's harder to make the shot. I believe it's 6+ on 2 6-sided dice, or I'm sorry, it is.
This is also when I remembered you could fire it back when you're being fired on.
Yes,
which I did. I succeeded.
If you haven't activated that turn, you get a chance to fire back.
He fired on my Imperator, and my Imperator fired back on him. So we were here was another one of those movements where I was thinking maybe I shouldn't. This is one thing I think we did make a slight mistake on the first time we played it. Like I was saying, I believe take a shot. So now one thing you need to know about these units is like the small infantrymen. They're not very powerful, and in CAV they can't really take on the mechs unless they're swarming them, and so they have to always stay out of range until you can get the heat taken off them. You can then rush them up. That was something we did pretty well. I think both sides did a pretty good job on that. That was a successful hit against my Imperator there.
Yeah,
and did 1 damage. You put a damage counter behind your unit when you get shot, and you usually use 10-sided dice. That's the best thing to use, or 12-sided dice, depending on how much life that particular unit has. And here I am, just kind of leapfrogging my guys up. I'm pretty confident in their ability to get up there, because when you activate a unit, you can move twice or move once and shoot. You can't shoot twice. There's also other actions you can take, such as like target locking, I believe. We did not do that in this game.
Yeah, with target locking, you can also, if you're a CAV unit, you can rotate as an action, things like that, to kind of get yourself lined up for a perfect shot.
That's right, because a CAV unit can't turn while moving. They have to move, and then they get a free 90-degree turn, or they can use that as an action and turn. He wounded my infantryman there pretty successfully. It was a pretty solid shot, but luckily these are powered armor infantry. They have pretty decent armor for being little guys. It's nowhere near as much as the CAVs, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, another thing is, this is, like I said, this is like a first time playing the game, so we kind of just went straight at each other. We didn't do a whole lot of tactical maneuvers or, anything like that. We just went straight at each other and started firing. It can take a little while to do a game. I think this was, we have the video sped up, but I believe this was about hour and a half, 2-hour match, with just the 5 or 6 models we have.
Now that we're in this range and we've got pretty good at the game at this point, I believe at this point we will give a little more proper play-by-play what happens there. So he just fired at me with his Imperator against my Imperator, and I did a successful defensive action and shot him down to the point that he actually had to do a check on critical damage, and it knocked him down. Now, I did not get damaged during that exchange because he actually missed. Alright, so now I'm going to move my Imperator forward, and then...
This is where the bit of a rule breach happens, because if you fire back on the opponent's turn, you actually can't shoot again on your turn. You can still move and do the other actions, but right here we...
No, you corrected me during the game.
Okay.
We did not fire. And this was, I realized I could not shoot your Dictator B where I was because of a hill that was in the table. So I had to move him up twice and try to get into a better position. It ends up working out pretty well. And now my infantry is now firing on the downed CAV. He missed. But now I'm going to move my other infantry up. And this works out a little bit better for me, because now I'm able to pull off a shot that in fact damages the CAV, which is astounding. Doesn't happen very often. Only does 1 point of damage, but 1 point of damage is better than 0 points of damage. And now it is your turn.
So another thing that that happened to the Imperator was he was stunned. But for each squad that you bring in, you get these, I believe they're called CV points.
C3 points.
C3 points, and you only get 1 per squad. I believe we both started with 2 C3 points. I used that to remove the stun effect on my Imperator. Therefore, I was able to stand him up with a move action when I eventually activate him. And I believe I fire on your Dictator, or...
Yes, I believe so. And there, I actually shot him again with another infantry and got another damage. And now he just fired back at me with infantryman on one of my other infantrymen and missed. You need to roll a 9 to wound an infantryman with another infantryman.
Yeah, well, with those particular guys, because they're power armored, they have 3 defense, I believe.
Yes.
So the way it works is a series of, it's called a margin of success. You roll your dice, and there was a 6, I believe that was a hit on the Dictator B. Because within that range, it was 6+ to hit.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a margin of success of 0. But our weapon systems match each other's armor systems on the Dictator Bs.
Mm-hmm.
So a margin of success of 0 still does 1 point of damage.
Yep.
And it kind of works its way up. If you get margin of success of 5, you do 2 points of damage. And
actually,
so
you rolled a 6, but you had the Wizzo and Salvo, so you actually added 2, so it was actually 8.
That's right.
And then it was the Dictator B's damage is 6, and so it would end up being like a 1 point of damage shot. But now let's see here.
At this point, I believe the Imperator is off the board.
He is actually. I just now we had an exchange with one of the infantrymen in a close combat, and I got swept up pretty bad on that one. I did not do well in any close combat attacks we did during this match, and so I actually tried to stay out of it as much as possible.
Moving through terrain has its own special rules. It depends on who is moving through the terrain, what type of vehicle or walker that they are,
yeah.
And it will reduce your movement speed as you expect. But I believe the walkers have easier time, depending on what terrain it is.
Fired on him with my Dictator B at that range. I am slightly damaged, but not enough to lower the attack power of the vehicle. And so I do 1 point of damage. As you get more damage, you do less damage. But if you damage them some, their armor goes down, so it's a trade-off. Now, firing back, you actually hit me and hurt me. And so I take 1 point of damage. Now I move this time, and now this is one of those times where I probably should have done something slightly different, but I attacked your infantryman with my infantryman. I did do damage there, but looking back, I probably should have actually went after probably your CAV again, just to put more pressure on you, but it worked out. Now, I believe I just continued the infantry fight at this point because it was just, I wanted to clear your board of little guys, but I missed there.
So
now the stupid close combat, which I don't believe I won a single one, so I'm pretty sure this actually fails for me. Ooh.
Close combat behaves a little bit differently. It's actually a versus check roll, and you have different stats when it comes to doing the close combat as far as like how much damage you can do.
Right.
So it is a little bit differently, and depends on what model. It might be a better idea to do close combat.
Yeah. There you fired with one of your infantrymen at one of my infantry, and you missed. Or actually, no, you did hit. Yeah, sorry, you did hit him. Sorry.
Some of that combat's a little obscured from our camera angle, and we're in the process of getting a better quality camera and lighting to kind of fix that issue.
Yes.
Obviously, like Luke said, I did better in close combat. So the first thing I want to do is kind of obscure your view with the Imperator, but also get into close combat with your Dictator.
Yes, currently my Imperator is blocked by like a mesa there, and so now we are fighting back and forth on a close combat roll. I guess I did hurt you there, which was surprising.
At this point, my Dictator was actually pretty heavily damaged.
Now, what we have next will be a pretty interesting roll. If I remember right, I think this might be one of the... No, maybe it wasn't. I thought that was one I got critical, which we need to explain criticals when it comes up.
We can explain it now. If you roll double sixes, it's considered a critical success. Now, I believe it mentions in the book, critical success isn't always a success, but you do get to add an additional D6 to your roll, which can add astronomical amounts of damage, especially if you can break their armor. The other thing is a critical failure, which is 2 1s, which is always a miss.
Right.
So, regardless of your bonuses. And Luke mentioned earlier the Wizzo and weapon salvo. If you have multiple of the same type of weapons, when you fire, it's considered a salvo, and you get to add an extra point to your attack. And then Wizzo, there's just a critical success right there. And it was only 1. So, as you can see, it's
a little random.
It's a little random, but yeah, Wizzo is it comes with weapon system operator, I believe. It's kind of like a clever little word there for it. Weapon system operator adds additional 1 point to your attack roll, so they're always helpful. Another critical. You got 2.
I continuously got criticals during this match, but I did not get really high on that secondary thing. No matter what, it was going to be a failure there. So that was Jack got a critical on me in the close combat. I just figured there's no way he was going to win, so he died. Or he got hurt anyway. If you have improved critical, or what's it called in this? It has a different name. But there's actually...
It's called Blaster, and the CAVs get it, and I believe that some infantry can get it as well.
Yes.
Blaster, there's other types of upgrades you can get on your weapons, vehicles, and infantry.
Yeah.
But what Blaster does is kind of expands that range. So a 1-level Blaster will make it 11 and 12. So 11, if you roll 2d6 and get 11 or 12, you'll get a critical. So
the Imperator has 2 blasters, so his is 10 through 12 for critical success, making him an incredibly dangerous individual. Alright, and see, got 1 on that. But he did do enough damage this time, though, to cause him to have to make a check to see if he gets knocked down. And he did, in fact, get knocked down during that check. So now I pulled back and I decided I was going to fire at range, which I did. I decided to fire at range just because I was not liking what was going on in close combat with my infantrymen, and so I just wanted to get out of that. And then at this point is when I take fire at another one of his infantrymen, and I missed. And at this point, you can kind of realize that losing the Imperator early on is caused a little bit of a snowball effect. But we do some final rolls here, I think, regarding the infantrymen. We do go a few more turns, I think, but it's pretty well decided who is going to win this particular fight. Yes, this is even though I did lose an infantryman there in close combat, he was fairly well injured. And I still outnumber him considerably when it comes to the infantry. So he stands up his Dictator B by using a C3 point to remove the stun, and then he stands him up with a move action. He does attempt a shot, but it is a damaging shot, but not enough to really do much to me. I then go and try to finish off his infantry. I missed there, I believe, yes. And we're around 6 now. And now his turn as well, and he actually moved his infantry first, which was maybe not the best idea, looking back.
Yeah, and I think I got a critical failure on that particular assault.
Yes. When you assault, you don't assault back like in 40k, however, when you do like assault back,
well,
it just affects a defensive maneuver.
Yeah.
I actually missed just now, I believe. With my Dictator, I think.
Another critical failure.
And that is, I believe, you're taking a shot with somebody, and I think you missed that one as well. Now, you did damage my guy there, yeah, that's right, yeah. Firing back, you do, in fact, cause a wound. Now, at this point, decided I'm trying to kill off these guys. They're really starting to annoy me because there's so many of them, and I do in fact fight them in close combat. And now, I believe this is when I move my Imperator to no, that's right. Dictator moved back to stay further out of close combat.
The turns are moving right along now as we're running out of models.
Yeah. We go into
have a last stand fight between the two each other. I win the margin of success and do further damage to his model. Another reason to do close combat that we've done there is as you get more and more damaged, your weapon systems get weaker. But the margin of success on close combat is a little bit easier if you have the luck to roll something high. So it's kind of a gamble, but it's a fun gamble.
There I took a 2-step with my Imperator because I want to move him into position to fight these infantry, because at this point I'm certain that my fight versus the Dictator V will be over soon. And not such great rolls for the infantry on Jack's side. There is now my turn to attack here, and I believe I succeed in a oh no, I did not. I missed that one. This is the one that succeeds. I attack his infantryman, and I clear it off the board. At this point, he conceded because that was the end.
Yeah, that was the end of the fight. There was no coming back from that. So hopefully we can do more of these in the future. CAV has been incredibly fun to collect models for and paint and play. The game was a lot of fun. So
it's a lot simpler to play rather than like teaching someone Warhammer 40k or even a few others that we have, which is like War Machine. It's on par, I would say, with War Machine in simplicity.
Yeah, and who doesn't like playing as giant mechs? That was just a lot of fun.
It's in scale, so if you work with model trains at all, it's in scale. So 1 foot is like 1 inch is like 30 feet, I believe, 15 to 30 feet. So
yeah, and so in the future we'll be doing more battle reports with CAV and other games. We'll have more like objectives and hopefully a little bit better setup than we did this time. We'll be able to see the terrain and be able to see our moves a little bit better. So.
And because we're not going to be doing a explanation of the rules so much, we'll be doing more of a podcast, less of a podcasty style and more of a play-by-play.
Yep, so we will see you next time, and hope you enjoyed it.
Yep.